What's going on, my fellow A-plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode. It is I, your Morphinominal host, Adam Perez. We're back once again with another Zenkaiger review as we get into episode number 10 for you guys as we celebrate Toku Tuesday around here at A+ Morphinominals. We continue to have a ton of content headed your way today, guys. But today, Zenkaiger episode number 10, we're going to continue along here with the journey of our world pirates and our Zenkaigers as well as we continue along with this great momentum I feel like that Zenkaiger has certainly built up for us, guys. This episode I thought was great on a number of occasions, and the fact that I thought they gave us some really great character work. I thought we had some incredible action pieces in here, honestly, and really got to answer some of the questions that we certainly might have in regards to why is Zox and Flint Goldtweaker even here on Earth to begin with, and then secondly, what's going on with Ricky and Catanner of all things. So I am really thrilled that this episode certainly dove into all that, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this Zenkaiger review for you guys today as we really start off on a great note, I feel like, of Zox and Flint kind of walking around town, purchasing whatever they want to. Mind you, purchasing it legally. Well, I guess to a certain extent, right? I don't know if jewelry counts as a official payment or not for anything, but if there is anybody that certainly would be proud of Flint, it would probably be Luca from Gokaiger, based off of the fact that she loves her some jewelry or anything expensive. In fact, Luca probably would have grabbed that jewelry and taken it back and told her, no, you don't spend this to get whatever you need, right? She would want to be decorated in it. But it immediately brought me back to Luca when I wind up seeing Flint and Zox trying to really fit in, right? Keeping up with what his promise was to Kaito in the previous episode, since technically Kaito won that duel, even though Twokaiser really gave it to him, if you ask me. But Zox is really doing his part to at least live up to his promise of not just plundering and taking whatever it is that he certainly wants to. He's clearly trying to right his wrongs and pay for things along the way. So I thought that was pretty interesting that he actually is a man of his word to a certain extent. But then we quickly get the opportunity to see him bump into the Toji Tendo of the week here in the Noon World or High Noon World. I'm not quite sure, but wherever this guy comes from, Noontopia, I would assume it's called, it seemingly there's a sun out all the time, whether it's morning, afternoon, or night. There's always a sun kind of circling his world, or maybe even several suns for that moment. That's definitely one world I would not want to go ahead and visit. But from this particular moment that we see Twokaiser and this Toji Tendo wind up meeting, this is really where the adventure winds up beginning here, and even a lot of the dilemmas that we come to find out, because even in the middle of this first battle that we have in the show, we quickly come to see that the people of Earth really are not on the agenda of Twokaiser to certainly protect, right? They're almost like collateral damage to him, right? If they're in the way, they're in the way. He really could give two flips, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, he's like shooting randomly around this couple. The Toji Tendo's using this bystander as cover, but Twokaiser's just simply not having it. And this is really where Kaito kind of comes into play, and we get these two characters really clashing and sort of bumping heads with one another here, as they have two just completely different ideologies, right? Twokaiser very much with a very sort of focused mission that he certainly has, where you've got Kaito here, who very much has a mission and certainly has things that he wants to achieve, but also understands that it's not at the expense of the people of Earth. He's always going to be there to protect them, and it really kind of begs the question, like, if you're not here to protect people, what are you here for? And this is exactly where we wind up getting into the meat of this episode here. Couple things we come to find out, especially after, first off, I love the fact that Kaito is so determined that Jurin gives him a boost to go ahead and find, or I should say, to follow Zox up to his ship. I've never seen Kaito really scold somebody like that before. I mean, he's really in Zox's ass trying to get on him for his actions down below or on Earth, if you will. And it's not until Flint actually stands up and actually says something that actually winds up grabbing Kaito's attention in here. And I love getting the opportunity to see Flint just kind of sitting back, biting her tongue a little bit, right? Letting Kaito get a lot of his anger and frustrations out before she really just kind of blows up and has had enough with Kaito and certainly certainly all his questions and his assumptions about them when he really doesn't know anything about them to begin with. So what Flint winds up laying out for us here is the fact that they're here on Earth because they are in fact trying to find a particular world. They do let us know a little bit about Ricky and Catanner in here, that on their past mission, one that we've had a flashback for, when they infiltrated the Toji Tendo base, they wind up stealing a bunch of technology from them. Flint goes on to let us know that she actually wind up creating these gates that they can actually travel to or travel through in order to get to several different worlds. This is really our first sort of idea of the intelligence and the intellect of Flint. I mean, that's like some aerospace engineer level type of, physics type of, intelligence to be able to just grab a bunch of technology from the Toji Tendo and build something for yourself. So, Flint clearly is not just a pretty face, but rather intelligent, to certainly say the least. And she lets us know that during their missions, they wind up going to a place called SD-topia, which we come to find out is translated into super deformed world. And on this particular world, Ricky and Catanner maybe gotten themselves into some mischief that they certainly weren't supposed to, and at the end of the day wind up actually getting cursed and now look like this. But this is actually our first episode in which we get the opportunity to see what Ricky and Catanner actually look like in human form. In fact, twin brothers related to Zox and Flint. So also some gold tweaker siblings, if you will. And really, these world pirates have really come to the conclusion that the only way to save their brothers and turn them back to normal is to find SD-topia, destroy him, liberate that world, and then go back and go ahead and change things up. So you quickly come to see that this is why Twokaiser is as focused as he is. He has relatives that he cares about that are cursed, that he wants to get back, and will do anything to certainly go ahead and do so. So to that extent, I can definitely understand where Twokaiser is certainly coming from. I think if any of us knew that one of our family members or siblings were in dire needs, we would certainly go out of our way and do anything to certainly protect them. I love the fact too that when we see this here, that there is a side of Kaito that can certainly relate. Now, I don't think he fully understands or gets it, but the fact alone that Kaito even mentions in here, like, hey, I've had that own personal struggle too myself, right? I've lost a family member, my mom and my dad. I mean, we saw a couple of episodes ago, I don't remember what episode that was, episode 5, maybe, the sushi episode that he refers to, the idea that he was extremely determined to get inside of the Toji Tendo base. We saw him try that on several occasions in that episode, to the point to where he himself completely forgot about the people around him and the people that he was trying to save and protect along the way. And it's a move that he certainly regretted and wished that he could have taken back, or at least approached significantly differently. So he definitely understands to a certain extent what Twokaiser is going through, but you can quickly see that these two characters are very different individuals. And I love the fact that Sichin brings up the idea like, hey, if you're going to be exposed to more worlds, that means you're also going to be exposed to more people. And not everybody has sort of that same hero mentality that you do, Kaito, right? Some people are just singularly focused, whereas Kaito clearly has a focus, but he can certainly protect people all at the same time. So I did love the idea that it was a little bit of an eye-opener for Kaito, and I think really is going to allow him to maybe approach Twokaiser a little bit differently in the future, right? He mentions the idea towards the end of this episode when he winds up, him and the Zenkaigers wind up saving those bystanders by like hulking it out and holding that big slab of concrete over their head and then like tossing it off so it doesn't crush the bystanders in here. He makes the idea like, look, you clearly are just going to go out here and focus on destroying the Toji Tendo. We're going to be out here protecting these people, right? So we clearly have two completely different motives. And it does make me wonder how this team, if you will, is really going to coalesce as the season progresses, right? Because while I understand the fact that you now get that Twokaiser has a different mindset than you certainly do, how is he going to fit alongside that team? Because the next thing that Twokaiser winds up saying is, well, I guess that means I get to create sort of more mayhem. So it feels more like the Zenkaigers have now become sort of the cleanup crew for Twokaiser. Not fully on board as far as being a team goes. Like, they both are gonna be out there fighting against the Toji Tendo, you know, throwing some kicks and some punches. But it seems as though now Zenkaiger team has more to certainly worry about, not only fighting but also protecting. And now they got to worry about this Twokaiser guy who's really sort of this rogue element to the team, if you will, that's not even going to care about the people around him but just focus on the Toji Tendo. So I am wondering if there's going to be a boiling point at some point where Kaido's just like, look, man, we can't watch you and protect the people that you're going to harm, along with what the Toji Tendo are certainly doing also. It's two completely different mindsets, and I'm kind of curious to see how it's going to work, or maybe not even work, to be perfectly honest with you guys. But I did find that rather interesting, just to kind of see that mentality sort of play itself out between those two, to be perfectly honest. So I will say this, I am super interested to see exactly what this means for the remainder of the season here. I definitely have my own particular theories that I think I'm going to talk about maybe in its own individual video, because just based off of some of the things that we heard from Bakawas along with Bara Shitara, even some of the ways that Zox and Flint kind of talk about the team, right? Like at the very end of this episode, you know, we see Flint standing over Gown and Jurin, who are exhausted from the day in general. You know, she mentions the idea of how much of an eyesore they certainly are. You know, can we just get rid of them now? Like, this is the perfect opportunity. You know, Zox even says something like, oh, no, let's keep them around. They're kind of fun, you know, until they kind of get in their way, sort of thing. So you can definitely see their pirate mentality continues to grow, and I am wondering how long this partnership and friendship is even going to last, because for me personally, I'm not under the impression that it certainly will. I mean, I could certainly be proven wrong, but you know, considering the fact that we still have what, like 40 episodes to certainly go, maybe 35 more episodes. I don't know how many episodes we're going to be getting this season, but there's still a lot of time for story arcs and character arcs to certainly develop. But I'm not under the impression that Twokaiser and Zenkaiger are certainly going to get along for long at all, honestly. A couple quick honorable mentions I definitely want to talk about, though. Definitely the Toji Tendo. We do see that Ichirud is still working in his lab. It definitely seems as though he's putting together the Battle Caesar Robo, the inspired robot from Battle Fever J, if I'm not mistaken. But the fact that, because we do see not only Ichirud here, but we also see Stacy being very patiently waiting for Ichirud to create whatever he is. I think we saw like a gigantic katana, and I believe that is one of the main weapons, along, I think, even like with like these horns or this this piece that goes onto the robot's head. I've seen it in some of the magazine scans that we've certainly seen. So it definitely looks like as though Ichirud certainly is working on the Battle Caesar's Robo. How soon we're going to get its actual debut, that I definitely don't know, but I am kind of curious to see what happens there. We also see Bokos determined to stop Twokaiser and Zenkaiger from teaming up, afraid of what that could possibly mean. But it seems as though when it comes to Bara Shitara, he doesn't think that partnership is going to last, if anything at all. So I am interested to see how the Toji Tendo are definitely going to go ahead and take advantage of this particular situation, because of the fact that I do feel like Twokaiser, I don't know if he has any alliance to anybody. I feel like very much at this point, his focus pretty much is his family and getting his brothers back, and I think that probably includes by any means necessary. So I will be really fascinated to see what Twokaiser and the Toji Tendo wind up doing in this particular situation. I also really love the action in this week's episode. I thought it was just simply incredible. I love the laser coming out of the Noon World's like magnifying staff that he wind up having. I thought that was pretty neat. Getting the opportunity to see Twokaiser having his it's like a tracking system for his blaster. I'd never seen anything like it before, but he's using his gear to linger. He's like hitting his gear to linger against the world itself. So he hits it like 3 or 4 times, and it winds up like locking onto him. So when Twokaiser bounces out of the way and he fires off a couple of shots, it's just pretty much like a targeting system. I thought that was pretty neat. I'd never seen anything like it, honestly. Even his Oren form I thought was rather impressive this week. The idea of when him punching through the car glass window, I thought was awesome. But the power up in Final Strike move that he winds up using, where he has in his O-Ren form, where he creates this portal and he punches down into it, and then the fist just travels down and winds up destroying the Toji Tendo this week, the monster this week, I thought was excellent, to say the least. It definitely reminds me very much of the final attack that the Zenkaigers do when they shoot up in the air and then the Zenkaiger symbol just kind of comes crashing down through a portal. It's very much the same way, but this time it's with the O-Ranger form fist. So I thought it looked absolutely incredible. If there was any sort of downside to this episode that made me roll my eyes a little bit, it made me laugh at the idea that, guys, just because the sun is out, you do know you can go to sleep, right? Like, I think Zox references the idea because he does go to sleep, because him and his airship are actually out in space. So he does catch some great Z's over the course of a couple days. I think he says he hadn't been down to Earth in like 3 days. So I think this is like a 3-day period where the sun is just out on Earth. And it makes me laugh because we just see it just draining everybody, right? Like people staying at work longer than they need to, haven't even gone on lunch yet because it's still not lunchtime. People not going to sleep because the sun is still up. I'm like, he hasn't frozen time, guys. Like, you can move around, you can put up your curtains, close the curtains, get you some blackout curtains, go to sleep peacefully for a couple of hours, right? Like, just because the sun is up, you can still go to lunch and clock out. Like, if you're fully aware, like, bro, the sun has not gone down in like 24 hours. I would think that you would know better. Like, why is the time still stuck on noon after all this time? Clearly there's something wrong. You know what? Screw this day. I'm going home. I'm going to eat as much as I want. I'm going to sleep whenever I want to. It was just funny to me that everybody just had this drag on them, that they're all sleepy. Like, you can't take a nap because the sun is up. Like, who came up with that plan? I take a nap when the sun is up all the time. So it just made me laugh that everybody was so exhausted. Although I will say it did add for some great humor, I thought, especially when it came to the Zord battle at the end. And we see just like a extremely just exhausted Kaito just trying to keep himself awake, you know, trying to do the last motions to get off that final strike, or even combine some of the Zords together in here. It was just pretty funny to kind of see Kaito just absolutely exhausted, and to the point to where Majin in here just had enough. Like, I don't feel like it's very often we see her freak out, but when we do see Majin freak out, it's absolutely the best. So I thought it was great that she was like, you know what? I've had enough of this. We're going to take this guy out now. So I thought that was pretty funny, but the idea of having to stay up just because the sun is out, I thought that was pretty stupid. But it did lead to some pretty funny humor, I feel like, when it came to the Zord battle at the very end. At the end of the day, those are just simply some of my thoughts. I continue to love what we wind up getting here. I'm telling you, I feel like episode number 7 was the turning of the page for this series. It's almost like the writers kind of woke up and was like, you know what? We've done a lot of filler and introduction so far. Let's really start getting into the meat of this conversation. And now we've got some really exciting characters for us to sink our teeth in that are human characters too, right? Because I have felt like some people have complained about this series maybe focusing, I don't want to say focusing too much on the Kikai noids, but I think some people felt like a detachment from the series because of the fact of the Kikai noids and them being robots and not able to emote or being able to connect with them, if you will. But now we've got people like Stacy. Now we've got Zox and Flint in here with their two twin brothers, Ricky and Catanner. While they certainly are animated, or at least practical effects, you know, characters right now, they are in fact at least human to a certain extent, or at least certainly were. So I am glad that we are getting the introduction to more human forms, because honestly, it has really added to some great drama and some great emotional aspects and character building for everybody, honestly, so far. So really enjoy what we got, guys. But listen, at the end of the day, these are just my A+ opinions. At the end of the day, though, I definitely want to know yours. What did you guys think about this episode? And listen, if there's anything that I missed, oh, you know what? Real quick, the last honorable mention was the fact that we had the Mega Ranger gear actually utilized in this episode, which I thought was pretty cool. Getting an opportunity to see Kaito surf on Jurin's shield, I thought was pretty cool, based off of the fact that we usually have seen the Mega Rangers, or the in-space team, if you will, utilize their boards and things like that they kind of ride. So I thought that was pretty neat that Jurin gave him his shield to go ahead and ride. It kind of almost reminded, I thought, I was like, is he riding a sewer top for a second? I was like, we got Static Shock up in here for a second. But just some really fun moments and some really great moments in regards to characters. But again, I want to know your thoughts, guys, in the live chat or the comment section box below. And of course, we definitely have a ton more content headed your way today. And then of course, every Saturday, we certainly will be back with a brand new episode of A+ Morphinominal live Saturdays at noon Central Time, ladies and gentlemen. But other than that, that's going to do it for us here. Definitely go ahead and let your thoughts be known in this week's episode in the comment section box below. And until next time, do me a big favor, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and as always, keep it A+. Full throttle, non-stop. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.